Even as the Emmys were officially canceled and slated for January of 2024 due to the ongoing SAG-AFTRA and WGA strikes, no one can stop talking about a handful of shows. Ted Lasso had an incredible first 2 seasons with somewhat mixed reception of the third and maybe final season, and Abbott Elementary continues to charm network audiences with wit, hilarity, and narrative dissecting the generational divide in the public education system. The most decorated drama from the Television Academy, Succession, delivered a somewhat feel-bad ending, maintaining the gold standard for TV entertainment and retained the show's DNA. HBO's Barry, however, which had been heralded as groundbreaking television for its particular mix of intensity and comedic charm, left fans feeling a little bit chilly after a bleak and bitter end. The latter show blurred the lines between the two major nomination categories, offering a comedy-drama hybrid of sorts. Succession, Abbott Elementary, and Ted Lasso remained in their respective lanes, while Barry attempted a radical departure. Barry's themes may have remained consistent from its initial premiere in 2018, but the tone deviated dramatically. Many of the reviews published after the finale criticized the creators for uprooting several of the characters for somewhat of a shock factor. For this reason, it is hard to imagine a world in which any of the show's Emmy nominations lead to a win. Yet viewers, and even voters, I'd argue, are hungrier than ever for innovative storytelling. Whether or not the final episodes of Barry sparked a deeper love for the property, the bold swing from the creators may encourage other showrunners to cut a little deeper and deliver a show unlike anything we've seen before. That is where FX's The Bear enters. Showrunner and creator Christopher Storer serves television audiences with perhaps the most accurate depiction of life in a blazing kitchen. Restaurant experts and chefs alike praise the illustration of the characters, the cruelty in serving the public, and the state of food and beverage post-pandemic. Storer, who grew up in a suburb of Chicago, was adamant to make the show that closely resembled the reality of working at a real restaurant. He said, quote, "It's all about the details. It has to show how hard it is, not only from a skill level, but it's a hard business," which he told Esquire last year. Based off the real Chicago establishment, Mr. Beef, The Bear follows an ensemble cast led by Carmy, played by Jeremy Allen White. Carmy returns to his hometown following the tragic suicide of his brother Michael, Jon Bernthal, to salvage the family's Italian beef shop, which by all accounts is failing. Ayo Edebiri, Lionel Boyce, Ebon Moss Bachrach, and Liza Colón-Zayas, with real-life chef Matty Matheson, round the cast spectacularly. The Bear's ensemble nature favors a heavily family-centric narrative. While not entirely parallel, the crew acts as an extension of the family, something that feels so authentic to the restaurant dynamic. If you've spent any time working in a kitchen, I promise the show will feel meticulously devised. After 18 episodes of riveting television, The Bear's most poignant moments are those involving the supporting characters, by extension the family. And I mean, after watching season 2, it's questionable to even call some of them just supporting characters. 2 episodes come to mind, both products of The Bear's second season, Honeydew and Forks, episodes 4 and 7 respectively. In Honeydew, Marcus travels to Denmark to learn the art of the pastry from a chef named Luca as the original beef prepares renovations for their grand reopen. We know that Marcus's mother has been sick for some time and that he has been incessant to stay by her side. Yet the experience of traveling to Denmark to learn from one of Carmy's colleagues then is somewhat of a relief for him, even if he might not view it that way. Inadvertently, the audience can deeply exhale in comfort with him as he waters a non-existent cat. Similarly, Sid sends Tina and Ibra to culinary school to sharpen their skills in this particular season. Tina, who was initially reluctant to change after Michael, warms to the idea of learning the clinical nature of being a chef and adopting the new structure set forth by Sid and Carmy. Ibra can't quite crack the process due to some tragic extenuating circumstances, but eventually accepts their attempt to help. Forks might just be my favorite episode of the season, even including Fishes. Perhaps it comes from the gutting performance of Ebon Moss Bachrach as Richie. After all, he was Michael's best friend and had the most to lose from his passing outside of the Brasato family. We learn of Richie's marriage troubles and the bad news he exudes. His reluctance towards change is even more prevalent than Tina or anyone else in the restaurant, I'd argue. A quick explanation could be that he knows better than perhaps anyone what the original beef signifies for the Brasato family. His rageful blunder is a direct consequence of his proximity to Michael, though it appears that Carmy is breaking through on some level, especially with Nat's help, who's played by Abby Elliott. Quote, Richie is grieving by screaming at Carmy. He is able to scream at Michael through this kid. And it is unpleasant, and he is saying awful shit, but he is also in real pain, Storer says about the character. His horrifying intensity in the first few episodes almost made the show unbearable at times. Everyone dialed to 10, truthfully, but especially Richie. Yet, in context, it feels like the only right way to present the character. Cut to his time staging at Chef Terry's restaurant, another favor called by Carmy. Richie hesitates to recognize that polishing forks is meaningful to perception. Slowly but surely, he understands what it means to be present. By learning the meticulous nature of polishing forks and the time management of running Expo, he is able to comprehend the meaning of every second counts. Richie was always in anger for the original beef because he knows the area and the people in this neighborhood. But by seeing how Chef Terry executes an impeccable dining service, giving patrons an unforgettable and deeply personal at times experience, he sees the bigger picture. And on the topic of how fundamental the ensemble is to the quality of The Bear, Season 2, Episode 6, Fishes, of course we couldn't go without talking about this astonishing episode, which ultimately leads to one of the best episodes in modern television, illuminating the aureate palette of the show's core familial principles. Laced with the anxiety and a swift jab of adrenaline, Fishes reminds us that the madness in the first episodes that we saw of the series, that the Brasato family will never be dull. The staunch parallel of chronic fatigue, amplified only by the sound of multiple ticking timers and roaring exchanges, this dissolution originates from the dinner table and is ultimately what binds these characters together. Yet Storer's ability to reduce the heat in more intimate moments between Michael and Carmy, or Cicero, played by Oliver Platt, and Richie's then-wife Tiff, set the stage for clever callbacks and affecting beats. At the flashback dinner, Tiff, whose pregnancy is inflicting intense nausea reflexively, can only handle eating light foods and mentions a banana as an example of something that she might be able to eat. Cicero then reveals to Tiff that his father used to take him to a local stand and get the best chocolate-covered bananas there. Apparently, he had passed the stand on the way to the Christmas dinner, and the memories flooded back. Flash forward to the Bear's opening Friends and Family Night, Richie rips a page out of Chef Terry's book to bring Cicero a bite from his past. It's a sweet moment, quite literally, and reinforces how airtight the writing of FX's show truly is. The chocolate-covered banana is analogous to a similar beat from the first season where Carmy in the earlier episodes was questioning why Michael wasn't ordering number 10 cans of tomato sauce. And a side note, that bleeds with the authenticity of working in the restaurant industry, because why get anything but number 10 cans? Turns out, via an intimate letter from Michael to Carmy, they taste better. We didn't know then that Michael had actually saved the entirety of the $300,000 loan from Cicero to bankroll Carmy's vision for their restaurant. Through all the yelling and the sour comments to one another, the family remains committed to each other's success. Carmy screams, "Fuck you," for instance, at Richie, to which Richie responds, "I love you, man." The dichotomic relationship of the ensemble encourages growth and compassion among them through sharp writing. Storer's honesty on the page translates to a more tangible setting, and one that allows for the fusion of drama and comedy for a more satisfying viewer experience. I am reminded of the feeling that I got from the beginning of Better Call Saul. The basis of visual storytelling couldn't be more dissimilar, but the dance between intimacy and mayhem are just as compelling. This is all to say, Don't sleep on the show any longer than you have to. Subsequently, don't underestimate the chances it has to nab some Emmys come January of next year. Innovative stories are more than just those from auteur filmmakers, as it's never been more clear that honesty is the best policy. Sticking to what you know and love, which the showrunner and creator has done with The Bear. Tossing in some surprising faces and eliciting wholly captivating performances from that same talent won't hurt either. The Bear rejects the unmoving pessimism of aforementioned shows like Succession and Barry by finally plating a more human depiction of the 21st century family, albeit in a toxic stew of love and abhorrence. The reduction of the ingredients together are noticeably more flavorful.